guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and like, share, subscribe if you like the video, and go back my history there, check out some of the other stuff I'm doing, working on my 68 Dart here, all small block Mopar stuff, so if you're into it, check it out. Now today we're going to be talking about a little issue I ran into a while ago. I bought an ATI dampener for my 360, and anybody knows dampeners or anything in the hot rod, drag race world, is ATI just makes the absolute best dampeners, so I immediately wanted to get one for my Mopar. Did say on the ATI site that some timing covers need to be trimmed. Found that true with the one that I had. So I went and got another one off of eBay, and I'm going to trim that back and then weld it up. So that's what this video is going to be about. So I guess we'll start off real quick. I'll show you kind of stock one versus the ATI and why there is a fitment issue.
Okay, so here are two dampeners. On the left is the stock style one. It was just a stock replacement, so there's no fitment issues there. With belts or anything or it going on. And the ATI one, you can see there, it's a two-piece assembly, and sometimes you actually got to get that center hub honed out to fit your crank if it's a little tight going on. That's pretty common, but that wasn't really the issue here. It fit no problem, but the issue was the height. As they go down, they kind of butt against the crank there, so you can see on the left, it sits quite a bit taller than the ATI on the right. It's about just under ½ an inch of difference. Now, I also previously measured, and it does line up the same for the crank pulleys. The spacing on the face of it is the same height, so that won't be an issue with pulleys. But when it drops down on, that extra ½ inch right there is going to come into contact with our timing tab right there. Now, that's an old piece. That's the one I got off eBay. It's pretty nasty, but I'm going to send it into the sandblaster, clean it up, and then I'm going to end up having to cut off a good piece of this tab. Because the other ones, the stock ones, when they go on here, I'll just drop it on over top right now. Try to do this one-handed. They basically sit over top, just like that, when they go back on. And so that's where that extra height's going to be a problem. So I'm going to end up cutting this chunk out of it and then make a plate up, get the TIG welder out, and weld it up close so we don't have any oil leaks. But first things first, that thing's got to hit the sandblaster. Got our timing cover out of the sandblaster. It came out pretty good. These things have a lot of like casting flash left over from the factory, and this one's from I think 75 or something, but it's decent for now. I'm gonna probably send it back to the sandblaster after we finish cutting out the timing tab, and I'll clean up the casting flash and then sandblast it again and give it a much more overall cleaner look. But for our timing tab, we got us some layout lines, just kind of a rough guide to follow, but we're ready to cut it out and then start welding. Okay, so I got my little part ready to go here. It's basically gonna sit in something like that. Got a bit of a gap I'm gonna have to deal with. And this old cast up, I really don't know how it's gonna weld. It's probably gonna weld like garbage. So we're just gonna get into it, see how she goes.
So if you're wondering what I'll be using to weld on this timing cover, I'm going to be using this Miller Dynasty 280. I've been using this machine for about 8 months. I really like it. I was using a Lincoln before. I prefer this. If you're wondering what kind of filler rod I'm going to use, now this is important because that cast timing cover is not going to enjoy being welded. So the optimal rod I think is like a 43. I actually don't have any. What I do have is some 43 wire that I actually took in a drill and then wove it together to make myself up some rods. So fingers crossed that this thing welds okay.
Okay, so here we have our finished piece. You can see I did go ahead and paint it. After sandblasting again, I just could not get the aluminum to have a real nice consistent look. So I went ahead and painted it, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So there's our tab cut out and relieved. You can see I detailed the weld down quite a bit, and I also removed all that casting flash, and it just gives it a much cleaner look up top. So I'm pretty happy with how the part turned out. Oh, I did also take the numbers out, and I put a small cut in it here with the grinder, filled it with white paint directly on the 0 line, just to clean it up a little bit further. I only need a 0 line for when my dampener is installed. And here's a shot of it with the dampener just sitting on top. Obviously got a good amount of clearance, looks good in black, really happy with how it turned out.
So that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. This was a fun one. I got to go into my work, do a little bit of welding. As far as that cast aluminum though, I really wasn't happy with how the weld looked aesthetically. After I detailed it down, I did see that it was completely covered, and there's no chance of it leaking. I won't be putting any silicone on the inside. It's just not necessary. But if you're staying tuned for the dyno video, that should be coming up soon. This will go on my Mopar. And after that, we're going to be doing some drag racing. So if you like what you see, please subscribe, like, share it. Thanks for watching.